Welcome back to video 3 in our Mapping for Mature Buck series. This will be a focus on the pre-rut and rut. I've selected a piece of private ground, which is the same piece of private ground that I selected in video number 2. And I've zoomed way out just to show you that on the VUM, which is motor vehicle roads, this check mark right here, you can see that this is pretty close to some public land, so the topography will look the same. But hill country really extends from the Dakotas all the way down to Texas through northern Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Minnesota. Wisconsin's got bluff country. Alabama's got bluff country. There's a lot of mountains along the Appalachian Trail from Georgia all the way up to Maine. So some topography is going to be much steeper terrain. I think the highest point in the eastern United States is in western North Carolina. Mount Mitchell is like 6,600 feet. With hill country being in a lot of the states that we hunt whitetails in, I chose this piece of public because it's kind of in the middle where I would say a change in elevation between 25 to 50 feet might be hill country in some places. It might change elevation 2,000 feet to hunt a buck in some locations in Virginia and western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee. Even in Pennsylvania, there's some country that has significant elevation change. But here I've drawn a polygon around about 58,000 acres. 58,000 acres is pretty large. Some of our public grounds are in the hundreds of thousands of acres, and some are only 160 acres if you go to some of the smaller wildlife management areas. But here we're going to zoom in on this 58,000 acres of land to talk about the different types of terrain features that I look for in the pre-rut and the rut. Pre-rut and rut is typically going to be in that late October to early November time frame, and the rut can be anywhere from early November all the way out to the end of November. In some places the rut is in December, and in some places such as Alabama the rut is in January. Some people's deer season goes out all the way to the end of February. But hill country stretches all the way across the eastern United States, so a lot of these tactics will work in these types of terrain. What we want to do here is zoom in and delete this connecting drainages circle C because it was just a placeholder for me to be able to find this map. Now on our shaded relief map, you can see our polygons for ag fields, and this will be critical to understanding deer movement in this type of terrain. In a connecting drainage scenario, I like to actually draw lines, show where all of the drainages come together in one place. It's helpful to be able to see this because it helps narrow down what your area of focus should be. For a connecting drainage scenario in the pre-rut or rut, zoom way out, connect all of your drainages, and then zoom in to find out where most of them meet. Here, 13 drainages connect all in one spot. In most big wood scenarios, 3 or 4 drainages that connect is usually very sufficient for a good spot to hunt for pre-rut and rut. The next thing I do is try to narrow down a focus area. In a connected drainage scenario, it's where they all come together, but I need to have something that I can manage while I'm out boots on the ground scouting. So I like to try maybe 50, 100 acres might be about the maximum that I'd like to look at. When you're out boots on the ground scouting, you really need to pick this area apart, and that takes time. I broke down 50 acres last year, and it took me about 4 hours to do it. I didn't draw polygons around every single field. There's just too many in this particular area, but I tried to draw the ones that mattered. Switch over shaded relief. Now, all of these connecting drainages came up to this one point, and why that's important is because bucks in the pre-rut, especially if a buck kind of lives in this area, might bed here with a northwest wind or a west bed down here with a northwest wind. You could bed over here potentially with a north or a northeast wind, maybe even a north-northwest. Also allow bucks from other ridge systems to be able to get from one main drain over to another main drain, and the likely place that they're going to cross is right here where all the drains connect. Part of the reason why I've had to focus on just pre-rut and rut is because I spent 33 years in the submarine service out punching holes in the ocean, and I usually only could get about 7 days of leave a year to hunt public ground. Southeast Georgia doesn't produce a lot of big bucks, so I've had to travel north and west like some folks have. But if you zoom back out on the map, I focused on pre-rut and rut because in these 4 scenarios, parallel ridge systems, connecting drainages, thermal hubs, and wagon wheels or topographic hubs. And here you can see I'm on the 2 kilometer or 1 mile scale. It allows me to find these areas a lot quicker than when I'm zoomed in. As you can see, this wagon wheel, there are a lot of ridges that come into this spot here from all different directions. And I also include these secondary ridges that come up from these bottoms. All these secondary ridges lead up to the main ridge, and the main ridge takes me over here to the topographic hub. In a thermal hub situation, which is down in the bottom, it's usually where a main drainage comes up and splits. And in this scenario here, I can see that a lot of ridges from this main ridge up here drop down into this hub, and that's what you're looking for. And we talked about connecting drainages down here where a lot of these different drainages will come up into one spot, and that's what I'm looking for that. Parallel ridge systems are where a lot of secondary ridges or even main ridges will run parallel to each other, and we'll dive down into those and show you exactly how to break them down in one of the future videos in this series. I can see some parallel ridge systems right here. There's some parallel ridges over here. So zoomed out, it really allows you to be able to pick up on where these types of terrain features lay within the map, and then you can zoom in on them and actually break them down in some manageable way to create that focus area that we've talked about. This will wrap up video 3, where we focused on how we begin to find places to hunt for pre-rut and rut and the different types of terrain features that I look for. Stick with us. In video 4, we'll talk about e-scouting and how I zoom in and then begin to look at a small focus area to see where the big buck tendencies are in hill country. In video 5, we'll discuss boots on the ground scouting, and in videos 6, 7, 8, and 9, we'll put all these puzzle pieces together, and I'll actually break down a thermal hub. I'll continue to break down that connecting drainages. In video 7, we'll look at topographic hubs, and in video 9, we'll look at these parallel ridge systems. We'll dive, deeper and deeper and deeper as we get into this series, and hopefully this type of content will help some of you guys out. The knowledge that I have gained in 40 years of hunting is what I'm trying to share with the community. These scenarios allow me to be very mobile. I know this sounds crazy, but at 55, I'm running a tethered saddle, a 1-stick, 40-foot of rappel rope, and I can get into any of these spots relatively quickly, even if I have to walk a long time and climb the exact tree that I need to be in to be successful. So follow along, and if you haven't done so already, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video with some of your buddies. I hope you have a good hunting season.